Travis Kelce could play one more year, but will it be with Kansas City? Let's talk about that. Chiefs Kingdom ACU crew, welcome in, welcome in. We appreciate you guys coming in here on a nice Sunday night. It's going to be a good little talk we got going. Before we get started, do us a favor, hit that like button if you haven't. That'll help get this out to more people. Also, we're going to shout out our sponsor for tonight's live stream, DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming, and now you can bet on it. We've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook because it has all your favorite ways to bet touchdowns this NFL season. DraftKings has industry-leading live betting market availability with dynamic odds that move with the game and more open live betting markets more often. Experience the game as a fan even further by getting in on the action now and using our promo code ACU when signing up. With DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's go, baby. Download it. Use that promo code ACU so they know that we sent you their way. Mike, how we doing tonight, my man?
We're good. Still suffering. We talked about it before we went on. I've had an eternal sickness. I think half the world has had this sickness for like 5 weeks. It won't go away. Like, I'm tired of it, bro.
You battling. You know, you've been battling a lot of stuff this football season. The Chiefs have been struggling with it. You've been struggling with it. It's just been tough, man. But yeah, everybody's talking about Travis Kelce. Is he going to come back and play one more year? Is he going to be in Kansas City if he does that? I mean, a lot of people haven't thought of this as far as Chiefs fans. But Mike, you have a clip that you wanted to play for everybody where someone brought that to everyone's attention.
Yeah, here we go. I'll play it.
And then, do you think we've seen the last of Travis Kelce play his last home game on Thursday night with Kansas City?
No, I don't think so. I hope not. He's still an excellent. It's up to him. If the love gone, then if the love's gone, yeah. I mean, this guy here, he retired and came back.
And that's the question. I don't see him in another uniform.
No, me neither. I think he's going to test the market out there, and he has to vie for a championship in the Super Bowl if he comes back in. I don't really see that happening with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be a rebuild year, kind of. They may have the potential to do it, but also he has so many opportunities outside of the game of football. Is his heart in the place of, hey, what's the next venture for me, or do I really love the game of football?
Yeah, I hope he has no regrets when he does.
It amazes me that you and Kelce are the same age, and you've been retired for 4 years now.
It amazes me as well. Maybe, yeah, it's shocking.
All right, hey,
So Robert J. Gronkowski thinks that Travis Kelce might scope out some options and maybe play somewhere besides Kansas City. Mike, we talked about this just a little bit when the topic first came up off camera, but let's talk about it now, man. We kind of threw out there, where would he go if he was going to go anywhere else? I don't think he really cares about going to win a ring, because he already has 3 of those bad boys. And I think if he were going to pick a different team to go to, I don't think it's about money or winning or anything else. But there is one thing that you brought up. Maybe he wants to play for his hometown team.
It's possible. Like, I've never thought about it. A lot of people, you even heard of the clip, Howie Long said he don't think he would play for another team. And you heard a bunch of them say, no, no, no. The one that didn't was Gronk. And Gronk come at it from a modern player perspective.
Right.
All those other guys, I would say even Strahan, that was a past generation. They seem to be on the way that a lot of Chiefs Kingdom see it. Like, I'll never see him do it. And I don't know if he would or not. But it never really crossed my mind to think that maybe Travis Kelce doesn't have all the football out of his system. And maybe he doesn't see a championship or a reason. There's no dynasty per se to go chase the 3rd one or the 4th one in a row or whatever. So it kind of gives him a little bit of an out. If maybe Gronk said you want to test the market, he's always taken a very friendly contract in Kansas City. He's not really grabbed the most money he could get. What if at 37 years old, his hometown Cleveland Browns were to come calling and be like, look, we'll give you $10, $15, $20 million for a year. Now, that's pretty crazy. I don't know what the market is. But let's just say they give him top market money to come back for 1 year just because it's like a motivational thing. Help Cleveland get over the hump. They think they found something with Shador. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if there's a sentimental value there where you're like, maybe I will go back and play for my hometown. That's kind of cool. Like, would you take it as a slight of Kelce, or would you be fine with it?
I wouldn't take it as a slight. I mean, that's his hometown team. That's who he grew up cheering for. So I'm sure there's a little bit of love deep down in that heart somewhere for the stupid Cleveland Browns. And, you know, if he decided to do that, then That's cool, man. Do what you want to do. I mean, what Kelce did for Kansas City and did for the Chiefs, you're not going to erase that anyway, anyhow. This isn't so much of a Tony G situation where it was like, you guys are losers. I'm going to go over here for a while and try to win something before I retire. It's nothing like that. But like, do I personally see it happening? No. I think that Travis Kelce is a Chief for life. I think that that's the way he sees himself. I also think if he comes back to play for one more year, it's because he wants to be there for Patrick when Patrick gets back from his injury. And I think he wants to take his last passes in the league from Patrick Mahomes, because those guys are an all-time duo, dude. Like they might be the greatest duo to ever play in the NFL. They're at least in the conversation. And I think if he comes back to play, it's going to be because he wants to go out on a little bit better note than this sour note that he would be going out on now, taking passes from Chris Oladokun in a losing season where you don't go to the playoffs.
Right. So if I had to give it a go, I'd say right now, I'd say 50%. He may come back. 49%, I'll say he retires. And I'll give that 1% to maybe he wants a sentimental send-off somewhere. It's very, very
unlikely.
little.
Yeah,
it's very unlikely. But I thought this was a good topic to talk about because as Chiefs fans, we don't think about small things like that. And I know I didn't. I just seen it as, is Kelce going to retire? Is he going to come back and sign a good deal? What if he
I didn't know there was a third option. I didn't know there was a third option.
What if he wants to play again, but he don't want to sign a good deal? What if he wants a big money deal? What if he wants to go play for his hometown team? I never really considered that, and I'm not thinking he will, but I don't think it's stupid to talk about things like this. I think this is a very intriguing topic that Gronk brought up, and I think Gronk even sort of did that. A lot of people in New England, up in Boston, thought he was going to be there for life, and then he comes out of retirement and plays with Brady in Tampa Bay, and it's like,
right.
Well, what if Kelce retired this year and then decides to come back in another year like he did and comes back for Cleveland then? Like, what would you think? So I thought another thing that was really telling about that is all those guys agreed that they believe next year is a complete rebuild, and they're not really seeing the Chiefs as any threat towards anything except for Terry Bradshaw. And I don't know if I'd had that clipped or not, but he said that if they could get healthy going into the next year, he sees them being right back in it.
Yeah, well, Terry Bradshaw made a good point. Kelce's still playing at a pretty high level for his age. I mean, Kelce was the top receiving tight end in the AFC this season. And honestly, I think he would be right there again as long as he keeps himself in shape in the offseason if he were to come back. I know he's getting a little bit older, a tad bit slower, and he had some mental mistakes that you're not used to seeing Kelce make, but I do think that he could correct some of that stuff and have a good year if he decided to do so. Now, as far as moving on to somewhere else, I'm with you. I think it's very, very unlikely. And I know a lot of people are probably butthurt by reading the title of this or clicking it, and they're saying it's clickbait and this and that. But let's, just a quick 5-second lesson on clickbait. Rob Gronkowski said this out of his mouth. That's what he was saying, and that's what we're talking about. So we're discussing that topic. That's not clickbait. That actually happened. So we're going to talk about the topic. And everybody can be mad about it. But I mean, honestly, I think a lot of the people in the chat, from what I was reading, are kind of more into it the way I am. Like, where if Kelce did decide to do something strange like that, if maybe he wanted to go play for Cleveland because he grew up, wanting to be a Cleveland Brown, anything weird like that, we don't know. Maybe it could be something like that, a childhood dream that he wants to accomplish. If something were to happen along those lines, you can't be mad at Travis Kelce. You cannot be mad at him. After everything he's put in KC, after everything he's brought to that city, after the rings and just the memories everybody has, no one could be mad about that. So, I mean, if it does happen, it happens, but I'm with you. Super, super unlikely. And I think the Chiefs will be competitive again next year. I highly doubt that the Chiefs come out and do the same thing they did this year next season. I don't see Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes not correcting something and making this better. And I truly believe that if he wants to come back and compete for a ring, then he would just stay where he's at.
I would agree with that to a certain degree. We've seen the Chiefs several times now in Patrick Mahomes' 8 years as a starter. We've seen them kind of ignore glaring problems from year in, year out. They've ignored the defensive line problem now for 3 years. They've ignored the wide receiver problem over and over and kept trying to put a Band-Aid on it with Justin Watson, Mecole Hardman. You name it, they've been doing it.
Bad.
So I don't know if I agree with that. I think Andy Reid could very well come back with 99% of the same coaches. He could come back with the exact same system. They could still not draft a running back or pay one in the offseason. They don't routinely pay running backs, wide receivers, and corners. Those are your three positions that they will never hardly pay. So something tells me there has to be some soul searching going on. Will they do it this year? I don't know. If they don't do that again, the Chiefs are in a rebuild. I think you do have to be in a rebuild because you have so many pieces this offseason, and we already discussed this in our last video. We wouldn't sign 99% of them back.
Right. Do you remember when Brett Veach got up at the Super Bowl parade and held up a Lombardi and said, "This is what a rebuild looks
I
like
do.
in Kansas City"?
That
Do
was
you
a very
remember
cocky
that?
statement.
So absolutely. So here's my point. Like, I think no matter what they're doing, whether it's a rebuild or whatever you want to call it, I think they're still planning to be competitive. And I also think that after this season, which was a complete and utter failure from all aspects. I mean, there's no way you can look at the season and say it wasn't a failure. I don't care which lens you're looking through. And I think if they were to go out and do that again next season, I think that's Andy's ass. I think that's a lot of people's jobs. And I think that's going to come from Clark Hunt. So I think that they all know that they have to correct ship a little bit here and at least make the playoffs next year and be slightly competitive, even though it is a rebuild.
Yeah, well, it's a rebuild. Anything can be a rebuild, but with Patrick Mahomes at the helm, you're always competitive. You see just how bad this team is without Patrick Mahomes on the field, and then you see us take one of the worst seasons we've had in a long time, one of the most defeating, it's just made you feel sick to your stomach every week that we can't get that win. But yet with Patrick Mahomes in the game, with that stale offense, with no legit, like, big-bodied wide receiver, with no running back, with a disintegrated offensive line with Trey Smith being injured almost all year and Josh Simmons missing games, even though he was a rookie, which he wasn't even up to, like, as good as he's going to be. But yet Patrick Mahomes was keeping us in games, and we didn't lose none of these games by no more than one score half the time.
Insane.
So that just shows you what Patrick Mahomes brings to the team. So if he comes back fully healthy next year, he gets back to Patrick Mahomes level or beyond, I do think that even a rebuild, you are fighting for championships here. But a lot of teams don't get that. You don't get that luxury of having that Patrick Mahomes. So we're still relying on Patrick Mahomes to come back from a bad leg injury, ACL and LCL. And we're wanting him to get back in time, be right on par where he was. You have you can't slip up any, because I don't know if this team's going to be good enough next year to help carry Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's going to continue to have to carry us for success.
It would absolutely depend on what they do this offseason as far as how they free up money and how they choose to spend that money. Because I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter how high you draft up in the draft. I don't think the draft is going to help you right off the bat. It never does with Andy Reid. It takes these guys time to get in. The only time we've seen rookies come in and contribute right off the rip was probably Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which a lot of people hated that pick. Obviously, he ended up being a bust. And then you have lately the receivers, because Rashee Rice had to do it out of necessity, and then Xavier Worthy had to do it out of necessity. But then you saw this season, I understand if Omar Norman Lott would have been healthy, they might have used him, and obviously Josh Simmons
was an upgrade.
Right. But, I mean, other than that, none of those guys contributed a whole lot. I wish we could have seen more Gelati, but we just didn't get to see it. I wish we could have seen more Noah Williams, but we just didn't get to. So I have no, I don't think that Andy Reid will use a rookie. I have no reason to believe that they'll draft some guys and they'll come in and immediately make an impact. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think it's going to have to come from free agency. And are they willing to roll the dice on a bigger name, like a Breece Hall or something of that nature that could kind of change the way this offense is ran? And then, of course, that all goes through Andy as well. So it doesn't matter what tools he's got. It's still got to come from Andy Reid himself and the scheme and how they approach this damn thing, or else it's going to be exactly the same, Mike. But let's get to the chat a little bit. We got Flapjack with the 5 bomb. Says, I want Jordan Tyson first pick. Gronk is on meth and needs a piss test. That's hilarious. So I don't know anything about Jordan Tyson. I'll have to look into it. I've said this a few times, but I don't dig into the draft until the end of the season. Obviously, we're going to get a better start on that this season, a little early start. But I don't watch college football, so it's a lot of work for me right before the draft to dig in and watch all the tape and do what I do. But I'll check out Jordan Tyson, Flapjack, and Gronk. Gronk could have been saying things just to get attention. That's absolutely something that happens with media. A lot of people mad about it, saying it's clickbait or whatever. But that's the same kind of concept, right? Gronk's like, I'm going to say something controversial to get people talking, and that's what we're doing here, talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think what he says is completely true, but I do think you have to think about it. I think that is an option on the table. Maybe a small option, but it is an option.
It's an option that none of us wanted to think about, but I mean, it is real.
Absolutely. And again, Jordan Tyson, No idea. We're probably going to start all draft stuff probably in a few days. Probably as soon as this last game's over. Since we're not in the playoffs, I'm going to get into draft stuff about a month early. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I know you guys are going to be throwing out names all night long and be like, should we take this? Should we take that? Yeah. Don't know yet.
Yeah.
Just don't know yet.
Absolutely. But while we're on the subject, you guys can hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, we're going to have a ton of draft content. We always do. We have the best draft content of any Chiefs YouTube. So make sure you come check it out. We'll be doing it all off season, hammering out all the content. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Shout out our boy Ron. Been a member for 23 months now. Let's freaking go, Ron. We appreciate you, bud. And then we got Julian in the house with the 20 bomb. Says the Chiefs organization has this problem of paying top dollar for wide receiver. If you're trying to lock up superstar, you got to pay the value what it is. Because sometimes you might not get lucky without a wide receiver one. So I think the Chiefs are like that in a lot of aspects. When you start looking at how the Chiefs have kind of managed this, or the Chiefs or Brett Veach or whoever you want to pin it on, but how they've kind of managed this entire dynasty, if you will, as far as the roster goes, I think it's completely backwards of what people want to see, and completely backwards of what I think they're going to have to do to get back on track. And that's, they've been trying to draft well, right, Mike? They get a lot of draft capital. They hit picks in the draft, people that can come in and contribute in their second season or whatever, and just kind of keep it going like that. I think they have to start looking at free agency a little bit differently, because we've been kind of plugging the holes that we have somewhat. We're like, oh, we needed a tackle, so we'll go overpay Jawan Taylor. Or we need a corner, so we'll go overpay Christian Fulton. I think we got to quit looking at it that way. I think we can't take the cheap route every time. I think you have to figure out a way to free up some cap space. I think you might have to end up finagling some stuff the way Howie Roseman does. However it is, I think you have to start being more intentional during free agency and not just getting a guy that can maybe fill this role, but getting a guy that's a superstar at that role. Somebody that can come in and you know they already kick ass and they can plug and play, baby. And that's what we need to start looking at.
Yeah, to that point, we had a fella comment on one of our last videos, and I thought it was a very good comment. He said, and I wish I could say your name because I wish I could give you some credit here, but he made the point that with this Chiefs coaching staff and along the whole board, there's not been a lot of these coaches that's been able to develop these players. And so his suggestion was to stop taking these, middle of the road guys that have a lot of traits, but they need to be developed, and start taking more Power 5 guys, sort of like what the Eagles do, where they just want to draft outside of the SEC and particularly Georgia over and over again.
Right.
And then you've seen us go to the Power 5 well, and we went out and got Ohio State, a big monster, and look at them. And then this coming up offseason, you're going to have Cardell Tate. You're going to have guys like that coming out of there. And then the Chiefs tend to want to go to Western Michigan over and over again. That's what they keep wanting to do. And these guys aren't even playing NFL level competition week in and week out there. And then we expect to come in, and our coaches are just not developing these guys correctly. So I'm with Julian. I don't think that you have to. He said that we need to throw maybe some top dollar at a wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to lock up a superstar, because we're always going the 5, 6, 7 million route with a 1 year route,
The Hollywood Brown,
to
the
Hollywood
Justin
or
Watson,
whoever else.
MVS.
But again, I feel like the way the roster's built, and as much money as you've put out for guys like Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, now Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, all these guys that you have, they've got a core. And I think that what they want to do is they try to find players where you can throw a lot of talent at the position. Don't necessarily have to be like top dollar talent, but you can get serviceable production out of wide receiver, running back, corner is another one. I don't see them really switching this up. Now, though, a lot of people want to see it. They want to see us go pay for that top dollar wide receiver. We've said that before, too. What would Patrick Mahomes look like if you was to have went out and got a DK Metcalf or something a couple years ago? Because you've seen what, Pittsburgh, they couldn't even get a win today over the Browns because DK Metcalf, and who did Aaron Rodgers have to rely on that sucked? MVS. And Patrick Mahomes took him and won a championship with him. And they can't even complete a ball in the red zone. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's several things here. I do believe with Julian, I'm right there with him. But I think a lot of it is draft. I think we've got to get used to maybe trading down, making splash picks, moving backwards rather than always moving forward. Yes, you may want a guy like Xavier Worthy or this or that, but the amount of picks you lose in the process of going forward is cutting off picks on the back end And right now, we need more chances to hit, not less chances. And again, I plan on doing a video about this, but during the Patriots dynasty, Bill Belichick and them were insane at how they moved the draft board. We think Brett Veach does it. He's not even on the same planet as Belichick in the way they were doing it. And primarily what they were doing was moving back, getting more picks for the next year, moving back, getting more picks, and eventually they were getting so many picks that then once you see that franchise changer, you could just move them and go get it, and it would barely even hurt you. And you were moving halfway up the first round, and you lost one pick you got last year from some no-name Deion Branch, okay? So I think that the Chiefs got to get more aggressive in the offseason, get rid of some of our guys as well for draft picks. I think you need to put more emphasis on the draft and draft picks, and do that in the offseason too, which is why I think McDuffie, players like that should be really considered as draft pick magnets. And I think that if you're not going to pay those positions, get rid of them and get something instead of waiting to the last minute when other teams have a chance to hardball you a little bit.
Yeah, I think you have to absolutely pair that up with making intentional signings in free agency of players that have proved themselves and not always the guy that
Absolutely.
like, hey, they've been second string there and they were pretty good the 3 games they had to fill in, so let's take them. Like that's the kind of shit that we keep doing in free agency, and that's not the route we need to take. If we want to get a running back, go get Breece Hall. If you want to get a wide receiver one, go get one. Whoever's available. Quit waiting around and waiting to hit on the draft picks. But I understand what you're saying because you still need to be building that roster regardless.
You
and
have
then in the
to.
future,
There's not enough money to pay these guys.
Exactly.
Like we do need Breece Hall, but do you think we're going to designate 3 years on this guy? Probably a 3 or 4 year contract's what he's going to want. He's going to demand $40 million plus. Are you going to go from paying no running backs on our roster right now? We pay hardly nobody. And yet we're still in cap hell year in and year out. But now you're going to put a $40 million running back on there? What are you going to be able to do? Like, we've got to field a team. And right now we've got 5 draft picks. So we don't even have draft picks to fill these guys at this point. So I just don't see how you're going to be able to do that.
You have to figure it out if that's the route you want to take. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Amy with the 5 gifted memberships. Let's freaking
Thank
go,
you, Amy.
Thank you so much. If you got one of those, make sure to thank her in the chat for being a freaking legend. Let's go. And then we got Perry with the 2 that says free agency running back class is sneaky deep this offseason. I think it was last year too. I mean,
oh, absolutely,
dude. We could have easily got Cam Scatteraboo. We could have got a couple of guys that contributed. Mikey even talked about Ollie Gordon, some guys later in the draft. And then I think Rashard Smith could actually contribute quite a bit if he got the opportunities, and we got him in the 7th round. So, I mean, I think that if they want to go running back in the draft, Mike, if that's their plan, say they don't go sign a free agent running back, but they want to go to the draft for running back, they have to do better than a 7th round draft pick. You have to quit waiting until the last pick of the draft to be like, okay, let's grab whatever running backs.
But
available.
why? And this is going to be Brett Veach's argument. And this will be
because
my
Andy
argument.
won't use them, right?
Because Andy's not going to use them.
Right.
By all means, we've got a running back that we drafted in the 7th round that was a 4th or 5th round pick. So let's just say they would have took Rashard Smith in the 4th round at the end of the 4th. Does he get any more usage? Hell no. Andy won't do it. So what was the point spending it on him in the 4th or having him fall to you in the 7th? And then just say Rashard Smith wasn't there in the 7th and we'd have took Joe Blow from Wyoming. He would have got the same amount of snaps. So it doesn't matter. Like Rashard Smith didn't give any effect because they wouldn't let him affect the game.
You have fun trying to argue with the entire fan base that there's no point in getting a running back ever.
Well, I'm going to tell you that
because
I agree
they're not
that
you
should invest in a running back. But the way Andy and everybody, Brett Veach is going to come at it from that standpoint of I can get you whoever you want, but that don't mean the coaches are going to play them. And then Andy is going to come at it from a standpoint of I have Patrick Mahomes. I don't care who my running back is. I'm going to let Mahomes have the ball in his hand 90% of the time.
You don't even think that changes a little bit in Andy's head after seeing the catastrophe that just happened and Mahomes coming off of that injury that, hey, I got to protect him some way, somehow. We got a storm rolling in, baby.
We got a tornado coming in right now.
Yeah, dude, it's 75 degrees in Kentucky right now in December.
Sorry for the I can't mute that. Sorry.
And it's supposed to be. Mine didn't do it. Apparently, I figured out how to beat the system.
I might be in the zone here.
No, but yeah, it's 75 degrees and it's going to be 30 or below tomorrow. So
it's supposed to be single digits here the next week.
Some crazy stuff going on around here. So we'll see how that goes. But no, man, I think that Andy has to reevaluate. He has to take a step back and look. Like Patrick Mahomes has always been that guy that carries his team, 100%.
Yeah.
So now he's coming off of the knee injury. He might be back week 1, but that doesn't mean he's going to be fully healthy and ready to go. I think you have to find a way to take some weight off of Patrick's shoulders. You have to stop making him create your offense. You know what? You create the damn offense, Andy. Quit making Patrick Mahomes snap the ball, run around, and figure something out.
This is what doesn't give me hope for Andy. When Andy got to KC, he pulled in Alex Smith from San Francisco, and he righted the ship. But Alex Smith was in no way a quarterback you wanted to throw the ball and have the ball in his head 95% of the times like you would Mahomes, right? During Alex Smith, he
also had Jamal Charles.
Yeah, he had Jamal Charles. He had one of the most premier running backs to ever play the game ever. And he's never once since drafted Mahomes decided that he needed to go back and see his offense. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, Jamal Charles and all those guys helped, but with Mahomes, you're going out and getting Damian Williams. You're drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was pretty limited. You're drafting all these dudes or signing all these guys, Ronald Jones and this guy and this guy. They've never made a priority, a running back a priority with Patrick Mahomes, and I don't know if they will or if they can this season because of the salary cap.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating, but I think that's where we sit.
We'll see. I mean, Brett Veach has got a very...
So the only way to do it's the draft, though, because you get them cheap.
True, but I still think that you have to start looking at it through a different lens. That's the way they've been looking at it, Mike, for years, right? And I think after such an utter failure this season, I think you have to maybe switch it up a little bit. You know, when you're cooking, which Brett Veach tends to do as Chef Veach, sometimes you tweak it just a little bit. That recipe might not be exactly what you wanted. You'll throw in a couple different spices. I think they have to do something a little bit different. And I think that's focusing more on proven guys in free agency as opposed to just relying 100% on the draft. And like you said, cap hell, right? But they have to find ways to free that up. There are ways we've talked about before, and there's probably more ways than we've even thought about. And I think that that's Brett Veach's job and his staff's job to figure out, hey, where can we free this money up and make something happen? So it'll be an interesting offseason. I think it's a very pivotal offseason for Brett Veach, Andy Reid, and even the Chiefs as a franchise. So we'll see how they handle it. If they do more of the same, Mike, they better hope they get results next season. That's all I have to say. But yeah, appreciate the two, Perry. We got Mango Chiefs in the house with 5 pounds, baby. Is that what that is? Pounds?
5 pounds.
Let's go. Nate Taylor said on his podcast that the Chiefs are actively asking Kelce to play next season for them, Clark Hunt especially. I don't know. Nate Taylor sometimes has some inside information. Sometimes he's just talking out of his butt. So we don't really know. But Nate Taylor he gets a better look at it than a lot of us do. So I do take what Nate Taylor says to heart sometimes, but you always take it with a grain of salt, right? Because, I mean, he's media. So he's just trying to get people talking as well. But if they are asking him to come back, it makes you wonder why, as far as what is the plan for tight end, which we've talked about this, already. It's not going to be Noah Gray. I think they missed that window. I think if they wanted Noah Gray to take the helm and actually be productive, that was about 3 seasons ago. Not when he was a rookie, maybe let's just say 2, maybe a little bit after his rookie season. I think that he kind of had that pop. He was in behind Kelce for a little while, and it looked like he would be able to do it. But him not being able to get in and take the snaps and just, only playing in the 12-13 personnel and just not seeing a whole lot of them, I think we kind of missed that window with Noah. And then they drafted dude from, what's his name, Jared Wiley. And they won't even use him. They won't even use him this year in these meaningless games. They won't put him in to see what he can do. So I don't think they have any faith in him. Jake Brenningstool, obviously people were a little horned up about him in the offseason, but him coming off an injury, and plus he's a UDFA. Like, that's not saying that he can't be something good, but that's putting a lot of stock in that is not smart. So, I mean, let's talk about that, man. If they're asking Kelce to come back, I think that they have some kind of a plan in place for a successor, right? Like, what is that plan? Is there someone they're looking at in the offseason, like a Kyle Pitts? Maybe we throw money at someone like that. Or is it we're going to draft high for a tight end? Maybe we've seen a guy or two in the draft that we would have to use a 1st or 2nd round pick on, but we're going to do it. Like, why do you think they're asking Kelce to come back if they are? Because obviously it's not because they want big time production out of him this season and all that. I think it's using it as a, hey, we kind of dropped the ball here. Could we get one more year out of you for a stepping stone?
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe they don't have a plan at tight end, so maybe they just want Kelce to come back. Maybe their plan is to have Kelce, Noah Gray, Jared Wiley to go one more year. And
you have to have you have to have a plan in place.
Yeah, but maybe they're playing for tight ends 2027. I don't know. Maybe they don't like any of the tight ends in the draft. Maybe they don't like none of the free agents. I don't know. Who's the big free agent? Kyle Pitts? I mean, yeah, he's had one good season this year, but he's been a pretty much
Kyle
a bust his entire
Pitts
career.
and Andy Reid's offense with Patrick Mahomes would be nasty. The way that they've kind of tweaked this offense to center around a tight end, which you've brought up, which is a lot of the reason why the Chiefs' offense has gotten stale. They've centered this entire offense around a tight end who is now 37 years old and, isn't exactly what he used to be. Now, if they wanted to keep that same sort of scheme and bring Kyle Pitts in here, I think he would have a monster season. I think it could be impeccable. But are the Chiefs going to spend the money on the tight end? And will it be as seamless as I think it could be? I don't know. But I think regardless, you have to have a plan in place. Like you're saying, they don't have a plan, so Kelce come back. I don't think it can be that way. It can't be like, hey, let's sit on our hands for another season and then see what we can pull out of our ass after next season. I don't think that's the route you could take. I think they have to have something in motion to ask Kelce to come back and be like, hey, let's do it one more time. It'd be great for you. It'd be great for your legacy. And it'll also be great for you to go out in a little better fashion than you'd be going out.
Yeah, well, this is all assumes that Nate Taylor knows something everybody else don't. I don't know how he would hear this. I couldn't see Clark Hunt going to Nate Taylor.
Clark called him up. He's like, what you doing,
I
Nate?
did this. I can't see Travis Kelce calling him up and being like, hey, Clark Hunt told me this, and I don't see him spying in the vent somewhere. So I don't know how he's got this information. I'll say, okay, cool.
He's been inside, he's been around the organization for a long time, so maybe he's heard something. I'm not saying he hasn't, but it all depends on the big if, right? But we'll see how it all plays. That's going to be a super interesting offseason. It really is. There's all kinds of different storylines.
There's a bunch of scenarios where the Chiefs can go with the little bit of money they free up.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be as wild as everybody's hopefully anticipating. Like, people's really wanting to gut coaching staff, a lot of the team, and just go grab a lot more new players. I don't think that that's the way to go. I'm very much in the middle on all of that. I don't think you gut what you have, because I think what you have is what's got you to where you are. Now, you can also say that's a double-edged sword. It got us to where we were this season. But I don't think you can gut the entire thing and just, blow it all up and start from scratch. I don't think that's the way to go, but I think you absolutely have to make some moves. You have to chop some heads. I think that there's a little bit you got to do there. You can't just blow it all up, but I think that you definitely need to, hey, we need to bring somebody else in to call this offense. We need to look at this offensive scheme and see what we need to update, get up to date. Can we get rid of RPOs? Can we get under center more? Can we do this and that? How can Andy Reid take an offense that is epic, all time, Andy Reid offense, change the entire game of football, and how can he continue to tweak that and stay ahead of the curve as opposed to be behind it where he's at right now? Because I think Andy's got to get back to being that innovator, and less the guy that's, in 1969 back here like a dinosaur. I agree, but I think a lot of that revolves around if Andy Reid wants to move it and change it. Right?
Yeah, that's my thing.
Andy's not going to change. You're not going to get a running back.
Andy's not going to change his offense completely. Andy's Reid offense is what it is. It's that West Coast style offense.
So 100%.
Spread it out.
So let me say this. Let's just say you bring in a running back really high with a 12th, 10th pick, like everybody's wanting to do with Jeremiah Love.
Okay.
What makes you think that this zone blocking scheme and these
the RPOs and all that.
RPOs and the shotgun run and the delayed handoffs on second down and all this is going to really change what you have now. Now, I do understand that Pacheco does run up people's backs and he sucks. But for the majority of it, the scheme is really limited and really bad. Like, we're not for sure that these guys can come in and have such an impact that you think they will. And if Andy's not willing to change that, or maybe they, like, again, I've not dug into this. Maybe Jeremiah Love doesn't run as well in zone schemes as gap schemes. Maybe all those highlights you're seeing, he's running out of a gap scheme. Like, you just don't know that. Like, we've got to start digging into all this tape and figuring this out. Maybe Breece Hall runs better in a gap scheme. Like, who knows?
I think Breece Hall ran in a lot of zone in New York. But that's my thing, though. How are they going to change it? Because they're going to have to tweak it. If Andy wants to be what Andy is and what he's known for, I think he definitely fell asleep at the wheel this last season. He didn't innovate. He's kind of dependent on Patrick Mahomes to make things happen, pull the rabbit out of a hat every snap. And I think he's gotten in a funk, and I think he's got to get himself back out of it, and we'll see how that goes. But I appreciate the 5, Mingo. And then we got Chiefs 007. in the house, y'all, with the 5 bomb. Says, how likely is it KC front office handles the back part of Pat's career like Green Bay did with Rodgers, back part of his career? This is a massive topic that me and Mike have talked about on this channel for a couple of years now. It's like, you cannot Aaron Rodgers this kid. We can't put everything on his shoulders. Never put people around him, even though he's taking less money for you to do so. Like, you can't keep failing this kid. And right now, you can't say that they failed him because, I mean, dude, through 8 seasons, he's the best quarterback to ever do it, and it's not even close. So they haven't failed him per se, but you can look at it and see that they've been depending on him to save their ass a lot too. So it depends on which way you look at it. Now that you've had this abysmal season where it looked like we weren't competitive, like we were competitive. And like you said earlier, Mike, like a lot of those games were just 1-score games. I saw a graphic earlier where it was talking about how the Denver Broncos this year and the Kansas City Chiefs last year just switched spots. They're all 1-score games, but last year Denver couldn't figure it out, and this year they did, and the Chiefs didn't.
Yeah.
It's that close. And Andy says this all the time. The margin for error in the NFL is razor thin. Things have to go your way sometimes, and sometimes they just don't. But they've got to put actual pieces around Patrick Mahomes, and that's kind of where I go to that free agency thing, because we can say all we want about them. Hey, they've been drafting guys for Patrick Mahomes. They've been drafting offensive linemen. They've been drafting offensive linemen since Lucas Niang.
Yeah.
Wanye Morris, you had Darren Kennard. Let's just keep going. They've drafted wide receivers. You know, they drafted Sky Moore. They drafted, Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and maybe a couple other guys. But it's like they've been giving him pieces. You can't say they didn't do that for him, but you got to look at it from more of, hey, let's get a guy in here. Like the D-Hop move would have been great if it would have been like before the season and he was used more often. I think that's what they got to start looking at. Like, here is a proven wide receiver that can do this, that can do that, and is going to make your life easier, Patrick. Here he is. We got him for you. That's what he needs preseason. And the answer is not Hollywood Brown. It's not MVS. It's not Justin Watson. It's not all these like mid guys. And I hate to be like kind of an asshole and say they're mid, but they are. Those are not premier guys. So if you really want to give Mahomes some stuff, give him his Devontae Adams. Give him somebody you know can get the job done, and quit making him do so much, and quit relying on rookies to pan out that you draft in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds and hope they're going to be some kind of superstar.
Agree.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to how do you think they're going to handle the back part of Pat's career? Do you think they're going to continue to kind of get him in that Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, you said
world,
it.
Or do you
I
think
think that they got to do a lot of stuff differently. I just don't know how you change course. It feels to me as though they think they found a formula, which is Patrick Mahomes gets that big contract. It's always there to save a little cap every year. It's very team friendly. But again, at the end of the day, that's still a lot of cap money. And they're just paying a lot of guys across the board. It seems like what Brett Veach decided was, I'm going to give 1 or 2 big players that Spags likes on defense. And that was pretty much who. It was the 2 he signed, Karlaftis and Nick Bolton, and Chris Jones. That would have been the 3rd. And then on the offense, it's almost like they said, look, we're just going to protect Pat and give it to Creed and whoever and Trey. And, you know, we'll have money here and there to get swing tackles. And then they do what they do. I just don't know. It's not infinite money, and he's not willing to do what the Eagles do, which is to back in a bunch of fake years onto a contract.
It's going to
they
catch
just
up
won't
with them
do
eventually, right? It's going to catch up with them eventually. It has to.
So I don't really know how Brett Veach can switch course at this point, because look, you've already built the roster to this point that way. How do you switch course now and start doing it?
Yeah.
It almost feels like you locked yourself in for the next few years.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what approach Brett Veach and this team's management and coaching staff and everybody takes this offseason. It's going to be very, very pivotal in how the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career goes, I think. So it's going to be one to keep your eye on. And guys, if you find yourself enjoying any part of the live stream, do us a favor, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're the #1 independent Chiefs channel on YouTube. So be a part of that. Hit that subscribe button. Let's blow this thing up, man. All kinds of content constantly all week long. Never stops. Year round, even in the off season. We'll be here. Real quick, want to take a second to shout out another sponsor of tonight's live stream, Zarda Barbecue. Do yourself a favor, get over to Zarda, grab yourself that $11 lunch, baby. You can go Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and grab you an $11 lunch. You can't even do that at McDonald's anymore. And this food is awesome. So go get that. You can check out Ashton Gelati's KC Takeaway Sandwich. That thing is freaking delicious, let me tell you. And I always vouch for the baked beans, baby. Get yourself a side of baked beans with it. They also have wings, and they have the best sauces in the game. So get yourself over to Zarda, grab you some food, and let them know All Chiefed Up sent you their way. Guys, we got a members-only live stream coming up here soon. It's almost the end of the month. And if you'd like to be a part of that and maybe win some cool stuff during the members-only live stream, you can become a member by going to join.allchiefedup.com or hitting that join button at the top of the chat there. It's only $4.99 a month. It's cheaper than a bag of Doritos, and it's totally worth it. Come hang out with us on the members-only live streams. Maybe win yourself some stuff and just have a good time. But just wanted to throw that out there. Guys, if you're just rolling in, we appreciate you. We talked a little bit about Travis Kelce up front at the top of this live stream. Rob Gronkowski kind of brought up the conversation that, hey, we're talking about Kelce retiring. We're talking about Kelce coming back. But have we talked about Kelce looking at his options and maybe taking a contract somewhere else or playing somewhere else? And the one that comes to mind for everybody is the Cleveland Browns. It's his childhood team. Maybe it was a childhood dream. So we talked about that a little bit. If you want to talk more about that, get in the chat and let us know. Or you can go back to the beginning of this when we're done and watch that conversation. Mike, anything else going on in the Chief world right now? I mean, it's like very drab. We got a game coming up, right? But it doesn't mean nothing. And this season, for all intents and purposes, is over. Like you were talking about, we're going to be getting into draft content here soon, and it's got a lot of work. A lot of work ahead of us. I hear it, dude.
You hear that?
I hear
Listen,
it.
be quiet.
You got a storm rolling. I don't hear it here yet. But
Dude, it is crazy. Like the
getting a little
walls are
sketchy
shaking
out
right
here,
now.
ladies and gentlemen. Getting a little sketchy. We're going to power through it, though. We're going to be here a little while longer, so
Hey, if my
get your
internet goes
questions
out.
in.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but no, for all intents and purposes, this season's over. We've been talking about off-season for 2 weeks now, sort of. Like, hey, how can the Chiefs right the ship? What do they need to do here? What do they need to do there? What's Kelce going to do? Is he going to be back? I mean, we're talking about off-season stuff. So, is there anything else going on that you kind of want to talk about? We've talked ad nauseum about which coaches to get rid of. We've talked a little bit about which contracts to get rid of or who to sign back
Right.
as free agents. Is there really any other topics to talk about other than the draft? Because that's what we're getting ready to dive into head first.
There's not a lot. One thing I'll say is let's look back on the game from Christmas the other day for just a second. We only wanted to see versus the Titans and versus the Broncos. We wanted to see the young guys get some run.
Yeah.
Are you still disappointed that they didn't play Jalen Royals or Jeffrey Bossa at all?
They started Jalen Royals, and then you didn't really get to see a whole lot of them.
Yeah, Bossa and Royals played 5 or less
Right.
snaps.
I'm just not. I'm not
understanding the mentality here.
I don't know what they're thinking or where they're coming from with that. It's very strange to me. But I will say that I've noticed one thing throughout these couple of games. They messed up big time. Big time. And we already knew this, but there has been confirmation that they messed up by not allowing Noel Williams to play more, by not allowing Jaden Hicks to play more, and by getting Tamari Connor off the football field. That was their Achilles heel this season. I think if you made that one decision earlier in the season, we would be in the playoffs right now. I think that one decision killed your season. I'm not saying it's the only reason that the team
was a
had
big
failures,
impact.
but I'm saying that impacted enough games, win or lose, because, I mean, like you mentioned, all these games were one-score games.
Right.
That
And for
one
some
decision
reason-
killed you.
Yeah, for some reason, it took not only Christian Fulton to be completely a non-factor all year long, basically, until just this final week. Like, I thought he played a good game. Like, if you could get him to stay healthy and look like he played versus Denver all of next year, I mean, I think that's a pretty good signing.
The chances
Now,
of that are like me hitting the lottery,
right.
brother.
And
I
it's
don't
still
play it.
debatable whether it was still enough money because, I mean, basically he stole $10 million from us this year. He didn't do anything. But Jalen Watson gets injured. It's like you had to play these guys by necessity. And they both played pretty well. But it's like, look, if you would have just played these guys earlier, and Noah Williams was showing signs all year long that he could do it. So to take away from what he was doing, to impede his growth, made zero sense. And to me, it's a Spags thing, and it's a stubbornness. And I'll say the same thing about Jaden Hicks. He kept saying Jaden Hicks makes mental mistakes. Look, you can't tell me he does not play on the same planet of rules as Jamari Connor is in his own world here with like the amount that the coaches will overlook when you start putting him on the same playing field as Noah Williams, Jaden Hicks, Josh Williams, you name it. Those guys get slaughtered for stuff that Jamari Connor does play in, play out. And yet he's still taking 100% of the snaps. To me, it makes no sense. I thought it was stupid not letting Jeffrey Bossa play a little bit more yesterday. I thought when he actually played, or not yesterday, but on Christmas, I thought when he actually played, Jeffrey Bossa looked pretty good. Like he was flying around. He was doing what he should do. We've got to know what this defense will look like without Drew Tranquil.
Right.
Like you have to know this. And we've seen what the defenses look like without Leo Chanel. It doesn't look great when it comes to stopping the run. So I think Leo is a must sign.
Leo's at the top of the list right now, right?
Leo, Jeffrey Bossa, and I'm going to say even the McDonald kid. He needs to be back next year. They don't need the other dudes back. Like they can all go. Tranquil could go.
I think Cooper McDonald's interesting though.
Yeah, Cooper McDonald's good.
And Brandon George.
And you're stuck with Bolton. But I think Brandon George, all those guys need to make the team. And I would start maybe experimenting with getting Nick Bolton off the field in third down situations. I would really honestly start experimenting with that.
I think so too. I kind of like that idea. There's definitely like no knock on Nick Bolton. I think Nick
especially
Bolton's an excellent
third
football player.
5+.
But I like that's another thing, and it's like I don't even think Bolton is as bad in coverage as people think he is. But he definitely between the positions that Spags puts him in and his weakness of maybe covering a wide receiver or whatever. But even a running back I think has an upper hand on him. But he don't get put in the best situations, and you see him falling behind quite a bit, and that's easy third down conversions, right? So I'm right there with you. But they have some work to do, man. They have some work to do. Let's get back to the chat real quick if I quit hitting the wrong buttons and stuff. We got Chiefs 007 with the 10 bomb. I think I just put the chat in the screen somehow. But he says, if you had to say right now, the Chiefs make the playoffs next season, and do you think our offense is better? Call me selfish, but I want Pat to sling it like the old days. So that's a good one, actually. I like it. So let's talk about that for a second, Mike. I think that next season, if you had to call it right now, I think it's a 50-50 to get into the playoffs. And let me tell you why. Because if you don't change much, you're going to be in the same situation. Now, can you win more of these one-score games next year? Absolutely. Maybe a call goes your way, or the ball bounces your way, or the other team actually implodes. That's something that we have not had the luxury of having. Denver, a lot of their games are teams imploding in the fourth quarter and killing themselves.
See Chris Jones do it. So drive.
Every team that we play plays their peak performance.
Oh, they play
flawless,
that peak off, huh?
Flawlessly
I thought
every
you were
game.
Going to say he's a peak performance. I thought he was going to say play that.
They play their peen off. Yeah, dude, they do. Every game, and we've seen that for years. We've seen Zach Wilson get out there and look like freaking the greatest quarterback in the world. We've seen Jordan Love looking like he was Aaron Rodgers out there. We've seen just you name it, dude. We've seen the weirdest players get out there and just go crazy every time we play them, and they continue to do it. Now, next season, 50-50, like I said. But I think if they change some things, though, I think if they correct some things, I think they have a good chance of making the playoffs, honestly. I do think they'll be competitive.
Yeah.
And Pat slinging it like the old days, that's not you being selfish. I think that's Pat's game, Chiefs 007. I think that's what he naturally wants to do and what he needs to do to be successful. And Andy Reid and Brett Veach kind of together, once Tyreek Hill was gone, they kind of got to the point to where they kind of neutered Pat in a weird sort of way. You had that shell, the cover two shell defense that Anarumo brought in. People started mimicking it. and you couldn't just go over the top of that thing the way that Pat is used to doing, or press the ball down the field. And then it was like, hey, we have to take what the defense gives us. We have to play it slowly. We have to move the ball a little bit slower than we're used to moving it. We have to take a little less yardage than we're used to getting. And that's fine. We won a Super Bowl doing that. In Super Bowl 58 against the Eagles, that whole season, Pat just took what the defense gave him, and we beat that defense. But by design and by default, like, I feel like we've gone into this funk to where that's literally what the whole entire offense is. It's stale. It's dinking, dunking. Pat, figure something out, please. You know, we've got to get out of it. We got to get him back to what he is. And I think the best way to do that is bring in some fresh blood at OC or even quarterback coach and see what we can do.
I think it's more simple than that. If Andy Reid would just stick to a solid run game.
Well, that too. But
You could not play that style of defense and succeed against the Chiefs. You couldn't do it. You just could not. You could not
agree.
live with yourself with
That's
us chucking
literally
off
the way to
20,
beat it,
30-yard
right?
runs.
That's the way you beat that defense.
But teams know that if Andy Reid has Barry Sanders or Barry Dickinson over here across the street, he's going to run the ball 15 times max. And you see the one game this year where he committed to that run, we beat the only really good team that still has a shot to be in the playoffs right now, the Colts. No other. We didn't even get a win versus a playoff team this year. But versus the Colts, and again, if Daniel Jones had stayed healthy and not been injured, they probably are in the playoffs. So I know Papaw Rivers is doing okay or whatever at 47, 49, 30.
Papaw Rivers.
You know, how old is this dude? Like 80? But the point is like
42, I think.
he was the best. I think he's 44.
Oh, damn.
The best team we beat was the Colts, and we did it by pounding the ball. And then when Mahomes had to throw at the end of the game, it was magically open. It was there. Teams just don't respect Andy's play calling, and Andy he plays into everybody's stuff. I mean, he played into what the Eagles wanted to do in the Super Bowl when they routed us. Andy come out and told you what we were going to do. The Eagles designed it, to take it away, and Andy still stubbornly went out and did it over and over again.
Right.
So It's all Andy. This is why a lot of people don't fire Andy. That's panicking. You guys are stupid if you say that. I think a lot of people that want Andy Reid gone, I think they genuinely have a good argument. Now, do I think that they should fire Andy? No. But I think that Andy should be on the hot seat. He is not evolving with the modern NFL, and the NFL is starting to shift back to a run game.
Yeah.
It just really is because the defense is forcing it.
Yep. Well, appreciate the 10-007. And we got a 2-bomb from boy Flapjack here. Says the O-line run scheme is trash. And it is. It really is. I think they definitely need to switch that up a little bit too. Mike, we've seen it over and over again. Isaiah Pacheco's definitely not the guy to have back there with the run scheme that we have. He just isn't.
Oh.
It doesn't work for him. Kareem Hunt, it works okay for. He's good at it. But Kareem Hunt's getting a little older, man. He's not going to be doing this crazy stuff, man. But Kareem Hunt, I think we should definitely see him back for just short yardage purposes. I would take him back in a heartbeat just to do what he's been doing.
Absolutely.
But I think if you're going to continue to use the same run scheme you got to find a player that can be effective in it. And Isaiah Pacheco's not that.
He's not. Look, Isaiah Pacheco, he's best. I'm going to tell you how Isaiah Pacheco will succeed. Do you guys remember back in the Madden days, like 2007 or 2008, where there was a glitch in the game where if you just come out in an I formation and ran a halfback toss, the fast running backs could get to the edge, and if you could beat the corner or the safety couldn't get over in time, you just took it to the house every play? That's how Pacheco would be good. Not running up the middle and have to decide what hole. Pacheco would be best to get him the ball, get him to the edge as fast as you can, and hope that the corner or the safety or the linebackers have all been caught up in traffic, and he could just cut it up the field, make one simple cut, and just put his head down and go. And he's going to run into the first thing he sees. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the stick over there marking what down we're on. He's going to hit it because that's what he does. He finds something to just run into. But that's where he's most effective. Running Pacheco between tackles is like going out and banging your head against a wall. It just does no good for you.
Yeah, not a good plan. Just not a good plan. Guys, appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for coming in, hanging with us on a Sunday night. We're going to be here for a few more minutes. If you have anything you'd like to say, go ahead and get that in the chat. We'll try to get to a couple more questions. We will be back tomorrow with a daytime live stream. And then, of course, we'll have the podcast out on Tuesday and everything as usual. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell, all that fun stuff, man. And keep up with us, keep up with the Chiefs this entire year, because we don't stop in the off season, baby. We just start putting in more work. So go ahead and get on board with that, man. Mike, Becky says we need a running back with vision and can run through defensive players. So I think the main thing here is the vision, right? You need a guy that's very athletically gifted. You need some short area quickness, and you need a guy that has good field vision. Isaiah Pacheco, God love him, just doesn't have the best field vision. He just don't. I think we have a guy on the team that kind of checks these boxes, and I understand he's a little small. He's not going to be running over players like Becky suggests here. But I think that Brashard Smith could do a lot of the things that we need him to do. And I also think that we could, man, I was really hoping that we were going to bring back that pass game to the running backs, that Jerick McKinnon style. We have a guy that was a receiver in football, in college football, an all ACC wide receiver in that running back position. We could have very easily got back to that, and we just didn't. Like, I'm really hoping to see that. And you say the chances of them actually going out and signing like this game-changing, groundbreaking running back is slim to none, right?
Yeah.
Like, you think they're going to have to upgrade in the draft somehow or something of that nature. I think that they need to depend on Brashard Smith this season if they go that route, Like, I think they're going to have to really get him more involved, and I'm kind of upset they didn't do that all season now, because I think they could have got a good little step ahead there if they could have just got him involved more.
Right. And look, this kind of goes to the draft. A lot of people's wanting Jeremiah Love, right? Like they think that Jeremiah Love, from the few games I've watched Notre Dame, he's not a guy that's going to make you miss. He's not the Brashard Smith type. He is more what Becky's talking about. Like, he would prefer to run over you than around you. So you've got to ask, does that translate well to the NFL? Does that translate well to how the Chiefs run?
You got a little bit of that Jonathan Taylor in him.
Right. And so Brashard Smith is a guy that we've seen I feel like those kind of guys, the Brashard Smith kind of guys are the guys that do well in this offense, in my opinion. So it is what it is. I don't know. But we do need to run it back with vision. We talk about this every year, and particularly last year when we were talking about draft picks and this and that. Vision is the number one thing I look for with a running back. People ask, how do you guys seem to know which running backs are the best ones to go draft every year? How did you know Cam Scatterbo would do what he did? Vision. He's got field vision. He's tough. He's going to run through you, like what Becky said. Now, I don't always believe that style of Andy's just not that grinded out kind of run through you guy, though. So if we had Cam Scatterbo in this offense, he'd probably never play. And if he did, Andy's not going to pound the ball with him like needs to be. So we always have to take all draft processes and everything with a grain of salt. And that's why me and Steve always, and people argue with us all the time for this. Why don't you guys like this player? Why don't you guys like that player? We don't dislike them, but we try to tell you from a Chiefs front office standpoint, this is the guy we think they'll go for. This is the free agent we think they'll sign. This is the running back they may look at. And I think a lot of the time that goes over people's heads. It's not that we dislike people. Like, for example, Jeremiah Love. It's not that I would dislike Jeremiah Love, but do I see us going with a guy that wants to run through people more than around people? Andy's not really been willing to have a running back that wants to run people over. Right. Jamal Charles wasn't that guy.
Yep.
Clyde's not. Like, none of these guys we've ever had is that guy. So, well, I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes. That's why the draft process is important, to get in and dig around,
For sure. Perry says if you want a fun highlight video for a running back, look at Damon Claiborne from Wake Forest. So, noted, Perry. I'll check him out.
Damon Claiborne?
Justin Blackwell says they need new coaching blood. Absolutely, Justin, 100%. We got Henrik in here saying, I say bring in a coach like Deion Sanders. A new blood is necessary. Deion Sanders, I think, I don't know about all that. That's up for debate.
I like Coach Prime, but I don't know if he's that guy yet, right?
No, I don't know about that. I feel like just a distraction. Chiefs need the furthest thing from distraction right now. They need to get their heads on straight and get this thing under control. Becky also said Hunt has vision, but we need someone younger. Absolutely. Keep Hunt, short yardage. He's immaculate. He's awesome.
Hey, now I'll say Kareem Hunt fits the role of that run you over type guy.
Sort of. But he wasn't
He's
like that
more
at
that.
first. I mean, he would a little bit, but when he was younger, dude, he kind of just fit into this scheme pretty
Exactly.
seamlessly, right? He's that. We need that type of. We need a Kareem Hunt type of running back that's younger.
Steve, that's one
Right.
thing I was just going to say. The Chiefs have tried to fill the void of Tyreek Hill and that
And Kareem
specific
Hunt.
style over and over again. But me and you have always took the draft option of we need to take running backs, and we'll always go back to who looks the most like Kareem Hunt. Because honestly, that's when our
Right.
offense was amazing, was with Kareem Hunt.
100%.
But a lot of that could have been because Andy Reid still had a fullback. I still think Andy Reid needs to experiment with bringing the fullback back.
Y'all, let's bring the fullback back, okay?
The fullback back.
I think that's the key here. I think that's the missing ingredient in the South. You got to get that fullback back in there, baby. Flapjack with a 2 says the backup to Jadarian Prince is way better.
Oh, you're talking about Notre Dame?
The backup to Love, sorry.
Yeah. From Notre Dame. He's good. He's a speed back. He's going to be like a speed back kind of guy, like a little jittery guy. He's smaller. I want to say he's smaller, Jeremiah Love, right? I mean, not by much, but honestly, like, I don't know if he's way better, but he's good. I would probably right now,
Well,
if I had
it
to go
was
off the top of
kinda
my
like-
head, he's probably would be in my top 10 of running backs, and
Is
I've
this
watched
not
very
this-
limited.
This is the same conversation we had with the OSU guys last year, right? Everybody's like, we want Quinshon Judkins. We want Judkins. And it was like, yeah, but Travion Henderson's more Andy Reid style. He's more the guy that they're going to pull in here.
Right.
They should
So
have done it,
Jadarian-
obviously.
This kid could be more Andy Reid style than Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love's just a freak of nature. He's a freak athlete. That's just what he is.
Our girl Krista over on Facebook, let's freaking go, says we need to hit the free agency harder than hope for the draft being the answer. I'm right there with you, Krista. That's where my head is. I think you absolutely have to focus 100% on the draft. You need to try to get as much draft capital as you can, and you need to try to hit as much as you can in the draft. But I don't think you can rely on that 100% for results right the second. I think you have to do that for the future, and I think that Brett Beach has done a decent job at that. But he's not been plugging the holes well in free agency. And I think that's where it has to change this offseason.
Well, here's where that I hate being the voice of reason all the time, but here's where that gets hard for Veach. Because let's say, for example, he's 40 over right now. You restructure, maybe you get Chris Jones to restructure, you get rid of Drew Tranquil, you do this, you do that. Let's just say he gets to 40 to 50 million under the cap. Okay. You've got to fill 25 holes. Okay. With $50 million. Now, if you start signing big name guys down the board, you're not getting very much. Like, you're not getting very much done. So let's say he signs Kyle Pitts, and then everybody's like, well, let's go sign Breece Hall. Well, how's he signing the other 20 players he needs? You've only got 5 draft picks, and you're going to need $10 million to sign those.
Right.
So, and you need money throughout the season in case you need to sign somebody else or injuries, or you've got to have a little backup to fall on in the season. So it gets hard because I think free agents price themselves out of a lot nowadays, and you almost just have to be really good at the draft. You almost have to do what we've done with the corner room. And now that Trent McDuffie's coming up to get that payday, he's probably going to price himself out of Kansas City. That's just the harsh reality of it.
Can I ask you a question? Can I throw a question out there?
You can throw a question, yeah.
If they were going to sign one big dollar free agency signing,
Yeah.
who do you think would impact the team more next season? Breece Hall or Kyle
Oh, you're giving me
Pitts?
the options? Breece Hall or Kyle Pitts?
Immediately.
I honestly think it would be Pitts because
too.
we're a more
Agreed.
pass-heavy team. I think he helps Mahomes more.
I think you can get back to more of what they were doing with Kelce.
And I feel like Breece Hall would get paid all that money and come here, and Andy Reid's still going to run the ball
Yes.
12 times.
That's what I'd be afraid of.
And I would be
100%.
so scared that we'd be dropping $40 million over 4 years
100%.
to watch this dude sit on the bench.
Yeah, guys, I want you to put your answer to that in the chat. Do you think that Breece Hall or Kyle Pitts would immediately impact this team for the better if they were to sign one of those this offseason. Real quick, we had a poll up the entire time. Like, said, would you be mad at Kelce if he finished his career with a different team? I'm going to go ahead and end that poll now. 59% of the voters said that they would be upset. They would be mad at Kelce if he finished his career with another team.
Wait, so the wording was they would be mad at Kelce or they would just be upset?
Mad. They're mad, angry, pissed
Okay,
off.
wow.
My thing is, man, I'm kind of on the other side of that. I think depending on how it went. Now, if Kelce was like, you know what, this sucks. We had a bad season. I'm out of here. I want to go see if I could compete with this other team. That would rub me the wrong way, and I'd probably be like, that's kind of dumb. You know, after everything that the Chiefs have done, if you're trying to go chase a ring with another team, that's dumb. Now, if Kelce were to say, hey, I want to play for the Cleveland Browns because that was a childhood dream of mine. I'm just going to do 1 year and retire. And that's something I've always wanted to do my whole life. I can respect it. I could be like, you know what? You deserve that. Like what you've done for Kansas City and what you've done in your career, you deserve that. If that's something you really wanted to do, I'm not mad at you. Go do it, man. Go live out that childhood dream, being a sucky ass Cleveland Brown. Go ahead. That wouldn't make me mad. I think he's earned it. But you know, it's weird. 59%. Honestly, though, I would say that's actually pretty good. I thought more people would be mad about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have a question.
Yep.
Would you be angry, I guess? Or no, let me ask the difference here. Let's just say let's put a draft scenario that goes along with a free agent scenario. Would you much rather the Chiefs, this would be number A, would you rather the Chiefs at say number 10
Okay.
draft the running back like Jeremiah Love and then go to free agency to pick up, let's just say you could get Kyle Pitts? Would you rather have that combo, or would you rather have, say, you draft like a Kenyon Sadiq, like a big time awesome awesome tight end, and then maybe you skip out, like you just skip on the running back position this year. Maybe you go to free agency and you say, oh, we'll sign Kenneth Gainwell out of Pitt, or we'll sign Jerome Ford out of Cleveland, or somebody like that. And then next year, maybe you draft a kid like a Ahmad Hardy or somebody like that from Missouri. Like, would you be okay pushing back one of the positions to make sure the other is good? Like, would you? So I guess the whole point is which would you rather have, the tight end or the running back? Which you kind of did the Kyle Pitts thing, but I'm not saying. I'm just not giving you a Pitts versus.
It's a loaded question there, and I'll tell you this: I almost cut you off because I would take that deal. I would draft.
Which
I would
one?
try to draft a Jeremiah Love if I was getting Kyle Pitts too.
So you would take that option?
Absolutely, because I've been saying this. I think Pitts would be able to kind of take over the role that Kelce was doing, right? And I think he'd be successful. I think he would have his best years with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, no doubt about it. And on top of that, if you were to draft Jeremiah Love and he does pan out, then damn, you hit both, right? Well, and also, I don't want to spend a lot of money on a running back. I would be really sick if they went out and spent a boatload of money on Breece Hall, and then Andy just continued to not run the football.
Yeah, I think your better option is if you're going to spend the money, don't do it on the running back. I think the running back, you're better off spending the cheaper money, in my opinion,
Correct.
because
Now,
of the
if
fact
they
that you
were
got
to
a
go
head coach that
do
won't
it,
commit to it.
I wouldn't be mad if they went and got a Breece Hall, but I would be very interested to see how they plan on tweaking the offense to make that worth it. I wouldn't be mad about it. I'd welcome it. I'd be like, cool, we got a guy that can do a lot of stuff. He's good.
Are
right?
you fine? Let's say we pick number 10, or let's say we pick higher. Would you be fine, though, with a top 10 pick going to a running back?
I don't like it.
are we
Honestly,
back in those
I'd be.
days?
I'm going to tell you right now. I think the better option than what you even threw out there, and the better option than the one I chose, is they draft an edge rusher up very, very high, and try to get somebody in here that's a premier edge rusher, and then still go get Kyle Pitts. And then you kind of help the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. I think that's a better option than even drafting Love.
Yeah, but there's not that many great edge rushers out there this year. This is a pretty weak class for edge rushers. I think there's only probably like 6 or 7 guys that they're even estimating first-round picks on at this point.
I'm just saying, I think he pad up the defense somehow instead of taking a running back early.
Right. So maybe
That's
out
where
of
I'm at
Miami.
with it. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have a lot of time to talk about all of this offseason, brother. And it's coming sooner than later. We got one more game, and we're going to jump straight into the draft, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Do us a favor, if you guys like the draft, if you like off-season content, hit that subscribe button real quick. We have, almost 1,200 people in here right now. If you're not subscribed to the channel, which I would say probably 80% of you aren't, just go subscribe real quick.
Dude, do us a Christmas miracle. And everybody watching right now is not subscribed. Come to YouTube, hit subscribe.
Yeah, if you're watching
let's
on
just see
X
what
or
happens.
Facebook or whatever, we
1,000
appreciate that.
subs in a night would be hilarious.
I know all y'all have a YouTube account. Just get
That would
over
be
there to it.
incredible.
Let's go, baby. But yeah, we're gonna have tons of content. So hit that subscribe button. Hang out with us. We put out a ton of content. #1 Chiefs independent Chiefs channel on YouTube. So we don't have anybody backing us. We're not part of a conglomerate. We're not part of a multi-channel network. Nothing like that. It's just me and my brother over here, Chiefs fans, making a channel for fans, and that's what we do. And we have a ton of great draft content. So if you're into that stuff, hit that subscribe button. Do us a favor. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't on this one. Help it get out to more people on the replay. That would be freaking amazing. Shout out Zarda and DraftKings for sponsoring tonight's live stream. Download that DraftKings if you haven't yet. Use the promo code ACU and get over to Zarda tomorrow and grab yourself an $11 lunch because you can't beat that, and the food's phenomenal. And yeah, guys, we'll catch you guys tomorrow on a daytime stream, probably be about 1 p.m. Eastern time or noon Central time. So come hang out with us again. It'll be a full Q&A. So we'll put a post up tonight, and if you want to put some questions in on that, go for it. Also, we'll take questions from the chat tomorrow as well, and it'll be a good time, and we'll see you then. Mike, you got anything left for him?
I don't. Have a good night.
Wow.